And we're back live in the studios this morning with Mrs. Busby, the old fellow on the Viewpoint, and our guest this morning. Appreciative very much of your being here, Jan Schumacher and Terry Carlton, Logan County board members. If money was not the answer, what a panacea that is, if money was not the answer to any board member anywhere, any governmental body, what would be the one thing that you would find that would be the most, if you had the money, if you had the money, what would you want to do first insofar as serving Logan County is concerned? What would be the most pressing issue? And you might have two different disparate ideas. Okay,
you go first.
Well, I guess I would want to do something that could benefit the residents directly, and so you know, we're affiliated with the Economic Development Partnership, and so I think working with entities like that and the Chamber of Commerce and Main Street and Tourism, so I think to do things that collaboratively that would be the greatest benefit across the board. I mean, tourism is another area that there's so much potential that we do a lot, and Jeff Ladd works very hard over there and their board. But there's so much more that could be done. So I guess I would like to see that. But from an architectural standpoint, if money were no object, I'd like to replace the dome on the courthouse and get the copper dome back. If money were no object.
Yeah, well,
but
that's the way we phrased it. If money were no object.
But I really would want to benefit the residents. But then I'd also do the dome.
You know, our courthouse, and I'm going to get to it in just a minute, Terry. We do have an architectural gem there.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
As Judy knows, I watch Mark McDonald a lot on Channel 8, Illinois Stories. And he goes, and there are a number of really good-looking old courthouses in the communities around this state.
He's doing one on Logan County Courthouse later this month.
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
that's
good
great.
Deal.
Now, Mr. Carlton, do you have an answer for that esoteric question that I just dropped on you?
Absolutely. You know, it's like I was going to head down the path of the courthouse too, as far as for that being there. But I think that our dream for Logan County and from the Logan County Board is really to cause Logan County to thrive. You know, not just to exist and not to just barely make it by, but to thrive. And if we had the revenue to be able to fulfill our dreams, we would be doing things that would cause a future for our kids and our grandchildren. You know, I mean, as they begin to take their place. You know, we don't want to see them leaving town. We want to see them growing up here. But to be able to do that, we need to be able to create an environment that would actually do that. Whether that's in agriculture, and healthcare, education, information technology, or things like that, we need to create both the education side of that and the incubation side of that to be able to get those kind of organizations to come here. But you can't get them to come here unless you have the education side of that too, because you know, the Googles, those technology firms, they land where there's people have regions that have that intellectual competence or that educational competence. So unless we, you know, and we're really fortunate that we have Lincoln College, Lincoln Christian University, Heartland here, but you know, we have to make sure that those things are fit. So it's like if I had the dollars, I would try to begin to put those pieces together between us. And you know, I worked this actually from when I was at Caterpillar too. I worked all the school to work issues up into the corporation, try to make sure that we had the workforce ready, prepared for our technical jobs. So I understand a little bit about this, but I would try to put those pieces together, and put that infrastructure underneath it, and then collectively take that and begin to. Then when you have that, you can really easily go out and advertise and begin to draw in those organizations that can make us live and thrive. You know, and so those are that be it. But I am a total believer that Logan County Courthouse, that whole square, is the diamond. It's the gem of Logan County. If I had the dollars, it would not only be that, but we're talking. I just left the chairing Building and Grounds Committee, but in that. One of my last things I talked about was like let's take and have a whole framework on how we would make that square look. You know, I know they're looking, and we went outside and part of our committee, and we just dreamed. And, you know, it's all right to dream, and because dreams is where things really begin to frame up. And when you begin to share a dream, people can catch that dream, and before you know it, you've got your dream. You're walking your dream. You're seeing your dream happen. So we talked about how that in one of those sections we could have, you know, it could be really beautiful and ornate, and a place where it could hook right into Main Street and tourism, and people could come there and they'd want to be there on that square site and stuff like that. So, you know, to me it would be the Logan County Courthouse. But the first thing I'd do is push towards the whole integration of education's incubation and drawing businesses here, economic development. Okay?
That's what we need desperately. And goodness knows there are a lot of entities that are trying to improve that picture and are making some inroads, thank goodness. Because if we don't have jobs, you're not going to have kids here, whether they have an education or not.
Yeah, I only have one of my 3 here.
Have you?
Yeah, so and fortunate for that, because otherwise all my grandkids wouldn't be here.
Right.
And at my stage of life, grandkids are very, very important.
You bet.
As a matter of fact, my wife told me that we're not going anywhere where our grandkids aren't. So
that's exactly why Bill and Jean are still here in Lincoln, Illinois. We had thoughts that maybe Tucson would be a great spot, and the first thing you know, a family took care of that answer. And that's fine too. Tell us a little bit about your committee structures. Take us through your respective committees and how they work on the county board, Jan and Terry.
Jan?
Well, we have committees that meet every month, and there's divvied up among the members, and so everyone that sits on the county board serves on several committees, but the regular meeting ones is Road and Bridge, which Terry chairs, Airport and Farm, Finance, chaired by Chuck Rubin. Terry and I both sit on that. I chair the Insurance and Legislative Committee. Buildings and Grounds meets regularly. Law Enforcement meets every month. I think I've caught pretty much all of those.
Animal Control, Planning and Zoning.
Right. Then we have committees, Personnel and Safety Committee meet periodically, like every 2 or 3 months, and I chair both of those committees as well. And while I'm on that topic, let me just say that one of the things that we've done in both safety and personnel is redo all of our manuals and our guidelines. And one of my goals as I've got on the county board was to make sure everything was operating as professionally and efficiently as possible. So we've redone all those manuals and established. There were some in place, but they were outdated and they needed to be revised and updated. And so we've been working on that.
Yeah, if I can jump in there, one of the things to make change happen in Logan County, one of the things we found was that a lot of our ordinances and those manuals and all those things were things that inhibited progress or inhibited change. So we, to be able to even begin to do some things, we had to go back and change those. And then that you got to here, and then you change that, and then you change that, and all that just takes time, because we really found that a lot of those things were prohibitive towards progress and change, and Jan's been great at doing that. It's like and now she's on those other committees. I mean, there's a lot of things that just weren't defined properly for us to work.
Sure.
We did things on that, I think it was in that committee, or was it in finance, where we said, okay, we need to provide define what an employee is, full-time employee is, and we needed to do that with IRF. When we changed from 600 hours to 1,000 hours, that actually allowed each department to be able to work full-time people, part-time employees during those high times when they needed employment, people there up to 1,000 hours without encumbering the county with IRF and insurance. Okay, so those things are costs that we needed to go through and change. And just a lot of things,
What is the number of employees in the county of Logan? I bet it's astronomical.
Not astronomical.
Well, that is high, too.
and big, yeah.
I think it's like 120 employees. It's not
really.
I'm surprised.
That's
full-time. And then
I would have thought it would be more than that.
Well, I think probably it was more in the past, but and as Terry mentioned, we've had to cut the department's budgets, and so unfortunately we've avoided layoffs. That's not happened, but there's been attrition, and then people that have retired have not been replaced.
Right.
And so I do think and I don't know what it was in the past, but I do think it's lower. And then there's been the shifting of full-time people, and maybe if it was a full-time position, someone retired, then 2 part-time people.
And the change of that made it very simple for them, and as they have to manage their budgets, well, the reality is like, let's say circuit clerk's office, for instance, they know that they're busy on court days, and on days when they don't have court schedule, they're not. So do you have people in there when they're not busy, at all those places, or do you just, is that when you use a part-time to balance and hit those high spots for you? And it was things like that that I know the sheriff and other offices have actually been able to use. We are down to like 126 some full-time, but I think we actually have like close to 150 employees, maybe 170 employees total throughout Logan County. So, you know, you can see that just that change when you look at liabilities that the county incurs, liabilities being insurance and IMRF, things that you don't think about, but things that really hit you. I mean, talk about insurance for a moment.
Right, and that's been a challenge to chair that committee.
I bet it
assure
has.
you. But we've been
Popular, too.
We've been or not.
Really?
Been very proactive with that. We've really looked at the health insurance and how we could structure that. One of the things that we hated to have to do, but we just had no choice, and that was requiring the employees to pay part of their premium, $23 a month. And you know, you hate to have to do that, but how else could the cost increased so much that we couldn't absorb all of the increase every year without having to go to that route.
I'm sure the people weren't shocked at that, because that's happening pretty much across the board. They may not have been happy, but I'm sure they weren't surprised.
It wasn't totally out of the blue.
It just it has to be that way because of the cost.
Well, I mean, some county board members actually question why we even provide insurance.
Yeah. Well,
The health insurance for
The health
some
insurance.
have
So
questions.
well, we all have different philosophies about how things ought to operate.
Yeah.
You know, Judith, the old saying, you know, we get what we pay for.
Right.
And I was reflecting the other day when we had His Honor the Mayor, Keith Snyder, on, and how much we're paying him for what he does. You know, pittance, really. And it occurs to me that there's an analogy here between that and the county board. We're getting a heck of a lot more than we pay for, as far as how your folks are compensated, which is certainly not a great deal, given the hours that are spent.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. We have to recognize and value those employees. It's like, and I think, to me, it's like, and we need to, I know Janice does the same thing, we need to try to make sure we take care of them, you know, but the constraint is the dollars. It's like, okay, so how do we do this? So that's why we wanted to, you know, within the dollars that we could potentially provide here, what's the best insurance we could get for them? And so I realize it's not the Cadillac plan, you know, but it's what we could do, and with the cost of, you know, every year the insurance company comes in and they show us, here's the cost of your insurance, I mean, and here's what your rate's going to be next year, and it goes up. So it's
They tell you, and that's it. And there's
Well,
no
and we did go, we went
negotiation.
out. We went out for bid 2 different times. We've been very proactive in that. We've looked at different companies. So I mean, it isn't just that they come in and we say, yeah, fine. We've looked at, and of course, it's based on your claims history. I mean, no matter what company you're with, it's based on claims. And so we've tried to do what we can, but there's just a number of claims and so on, and so that's been the problem.
Well, the change in the insurance provider, what saved us how much, or
Well, we did
I
switch
mean,
from Health Alliance to Blue Cross and back to Health Alliance, so there were some savings there, you know, annually. The other way that we save money in insurance was with our property liability and workers' comp, and we're now in a county-owned program with about 12 other counties, and that's saving us $50,000 a year now. From what we were paying in our premiums, and it's a county-owned. The county has a representative on their board. They provide all kind of support services and safety and training and so on, and so that's another insurance avenue that we've been able to cut costs on.
Oh, I think that the thing that you've got to remember, whether it's the healthcare insurance, which, you know, we were able to save, because if we had went out for bid, it was going to go way up high, and that helped neutralize that and save us that differential there. But you got to look at the cumulative cost savings, because if you hadn't, then it would have been here, it would have been here, and now you're down here. Same way with the savings for the insurance for all the buildings and stuff like that. You save the $50,000, but next year the total savings you've got is $100,000, which if you weren't saving that, you would have had to pull that dollars out of somewhere. So you got to look at that aggregate savings. We've went out for energy bids twice, where we've contracted our energy, and if you look at the effect of our lighting and different things that we're doing on energy savings, I mean, we've saved I don't know, probably $30,000-$40,000 a year just on that, because of making those decisions for going out and doing our due diligence, bringing in, you know, getting the different bids and estimates against those things, and doing that. So you know, and we don't do these things blind. It's like we make sure that we you do it almost like a standard business request for a proposal, where you know what your criteria is and you ask for those specific things from them, and then you let people drive that back in. Even for the when we request bids for the windows or the bell tower or the roof, we have an RFP process that we actually go through. So it's a very business-oriented type of strategy. It's I mean, it is one of those things where it's just not business as usual at Logan County. We take.
But it's a big business.
It is
the
a
county is
big
a big
business, but we make sure that Logan County is making the right decisions based on data and information and research, and so and then from that, then you can make the right decisions, because it's still data talks, the rest walks, and.
Well, none of that falls into your lap.
No, it
every
doesn't.
bit of that has to be sought out,
Right.
and everything that has to be sought out takes time.
Right.
And unfortunately, we can't afford a county administrator. That's one thing I would like, and that's, I guess I should have said, if money were no object, I think a full-time county administrator would be invaluable, because then they can do a lot of this research and this grant writing and so on.
Right.
So then you would have some,
Which is an art itself, as we've referred to a while ago, grant writing, but that can be very productive if you have the right people.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Judy K., we go about our daily lives, each and every one of us, just kind of accepting that things go on in the county, the city, because that's the way it is. We don't stop to think about all that. Well, you do, because you see her, and I see your husband hard at work, doing his work on city council work, doing his homework at home. We don't stop to think about all the hours that go in to just study and preparation for the meetings. So we appreciate very much the presence of Jan Schumacher and Terry Carlton to share the county problem with us. I wanted to ask them, but the time has run out now, so we'll have to put that to another question. Exempting, I emphasize, exempting our local government here. The acerbic essayist H.L. Mencken said, we always try to close with some little comment. This might be said at the national level, depending upon your political persuasion. Every decent man is ashamed of the government he lives under. Thank you. Thank you for Viewpoint.
Thank you.